people of the interwebs. It's me, Brandon Noel. We haven't done a YouTube video in a while, and that's because I've been busy with this guy, 8-Bit Pulp, our first big magazine. It's the first pulp magazine to be published since 1961, and it's in the full tradition of the pulps, and we're very proud of it. And it really took a lot more work than what we thought it was going to be, and it's available on Amazon right now. Links down below. And one of the reasons why we haven't done a whole lot of YouTube videos lately, at least from the art side, is because of how busy we've been as a company. And what's going to happen is we're going to try to do a video at least once a week. We're going to try to do something about the books, about the art, and we're going to leave a little bit of the philosophy off to the side. But thank you for the few of you who are actually still watching this channel. And we're going to dive right into me working on the next issue of 8-Bit Pulp, which comes out in a couple of months. But I'm inking and working on this baby. FlatFoot McGee is going to jump from the shorts that we put him in with Tales of Destiny, our issue number 1, which is still available. We're going to bring him into the pulp as a cartoon, to kind of like a cartoon section, and we're going to really expand on the FlatFoot McGee universe and really play him out and see where things go. Personally, he's one of my favorite creations, and what is a pulp without a hard-boiled detective? I mean, that he fits right in there with it. So thank you, and please enjoy me inking. I'm going to talk you through some of my inking process, and thank you for watching this. Okay, here we go. I've already laid in some of my line work on this video, and it's just because inking a full page would take way too long even on a YouTube video. And you'll see that the footage has actually been sped up here just a little bit, because honestly, inking this page probably took me 45 minutes to an hour, and that's with me relaxed and having music going. I wasn't really trying to crank a page out. But yeah, the footage is sped up, so don't worry about trying to match my speed. Basically what I'm using right here, I'm using a crow's quill, and it's what I used to do all the little hash marks that create the gray underneath FlatFoot McGee's feet on that bottom panel. It's one of my favorite tools. I think it's an overlooked tool. It's the downside is because it's it's easy to splatter with, and I understand why a lot of guys don't use it, because more often than not you need to go in and clean up after the tool. Which personally, if there's a little splatter in there, I'll actually leave it in there, because it gives it a nice rougher edge look. At least that's my opinion. What I'm really going to show you in this video is some whitewash technique, which is actually what I really use to color FlatFoot McGee. It's a black and white book. It's just ink. And whitewash, if you've never done any inking or anything like that before, it's ink watered down with water. And what I do is I take 3 little tuna cans, and I have little ink samples in all of them, and I use different water levels in them, and you get 3 different shades of gray that way. And I go in with 3 different brushes, and I get my grays. And it's basically like watercolor. If you've never, it's like water paint, or watercolor paint, except it's really just ink and water, and it acts a little differently. And I'll let it free flow, I'll let it drip down the page to give it kind of a rainy effect. And washes the real technical term, because I mean it washes out the grays and gives some nice texture. Another thing you can do with that same thing is with the water and ink, and you see it more often than animation and backgrounds than you do in comics is sponging. You can take a sponge and lay in some really interesting textures that way. Um, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But what I'm doing here is I'm just basically tracing over my own work with a crow's quill. And if you've never inked, if this is like an introduction to inking for you, buy the basic ink. It's like $5 at any arts and crafts store, Michaels. It's Higgins Black Magic ink, or Indian ink, and it's real basic. Now you'll see what I'm doing here is I'm using a brush, and I'm going in and filling in the real black spots of the page that need to be solid black. And a lot of professionals prefer to ink with brushes over nibs. There's kind of two camps. There's the guys who use pens and nibs, and then there's the guys who are quite honestly a little bit more talented who use brushes. At least that's my argument, because I use the nibs and pens because I can't get those kinds of lines with a brush, and there are inkers out there that can, and it just blows me away. I was looking at an inking sample years ago from an artist who did Marvel Zombies, and I just couldn't believe he did it with a brush. I was just blown away. But yeah, there's a lot of great artists out there who can do these kinds of things with brushes. I'm not one of them. So I go in and I use my brushes on my big spots, and I'll go in with the whitewash and add in the gray and the texture, and it really helps give it the mood. Will Eisner, who is the master, he's the Da Vinci of our industry. He used to say, allegedly, I never met him, but allegedly he once said, inking is sexy. It's like when you ink a woman, you're running your hand across her thigh, her body, and you definitely get that feel when you're brush inking. And to be honest, I'm not that good enough to do brush inking all the time. It's something I do a lot more with FlatFoot McGee than anything else, because of how FlatFoot McGee is directly inspired by Will Eisner's The Spirit, or even Will Eisner's The Dreamer. If you get a chance, look that up. But typically I stick to the nibs and the crow's quill. If you actually read the first issue of 8-Bit Pulp, you'll know not just in the comics department, but in the illustrations, there was a lot of crow's quill art and stuff like that. And that's because it's something I really like, and it was something that was done intentionally to give the stories some flair. You can't see it right now, but in the upper left-hand corner, the video quality is too bad, but I used a darker wash on that, but I wanted you to actually still be able to see my hatch marks, so they're kind of visible through there, and that's done intentionally. I'm going in and adding some gray now with a lighter brush, and again, it's all done to give texture and background and mood. That's the beauty of doing a black and white book, is you can really focus on mood and texture, and you're not caught up so much on color. And well, I'm near the end of this video, so I'm going to wrap it up. But FlatFoot McGee is definitely one of my favorite characters, and I hope that you found this helpful in some way, and please comment and like on the bottom. Thank you.